Core Issues, Chapter 1, Season 1, Part 1, by Nicole. A vibration on my sternum jolted me awake. I looked at my phone for a second before shoving it back in my pocket. Damn it, Blue. It's 3 in the morning. Sitting up, I looked around for a bottle of red hot sauce, found one, and discovered it was empty. Great. I'd fallen asleep on the couch inside our Foundation's communal living room. Again, Babs would complain about it come morning, provided I was still around. I hadn't looked at the message, but Blue never contacted us unless it was a mission. I stumbled to my feet and headed down the dark hallway. There was a light on in the lab, and a quick peek revealed Asriel at work on some project or other. I was never really sure what the Goat Prince was up to half the time, since his specialty was biomedical engineering. Medicine was not my forte. Time and space distortion? That's my pay. A red glow beckoned me down the hall to Frisk's office. It blinked out suddenly when I got to the door. Frisk murmured assent into her phone as she wrote. She turned and looked at me. I waved the empty bottle at her. She put her phone down. Asriel bought an entire flat of Kahlua sauce for you. It's in the kitchen. Where's Blue sending us now? She smiled. What? Frisk pulled her hair back into a braid. It's funny how you all call him Blue, not Prime or Alpha, as if for some reason his use of blue magic is unique to him. It's the hoodie. That makes even less sense. You all wear hoodies. I snorted. This, sweetheart, is a fur-lined leather bomber jacket, and you're wearing an exact replica. Yeah, but it looks better on me. I pulled the note out of her hands. I own this look. I glanced at the equations in Frisk's neat script and resisted the urge to solve them. Any details? She shook her head. Just that the Phase Real Intelligence System core isolated as an anomaly. I grimaced. Huh? What? Of all the Frisks, she's the one that scares me the most. Why? I changed the subject. Standard up, then? Thankfully, Frisk didn't force it. As soon as I gear up, yeah. Her legs were unsteady as she rose, and I grabbed her arm. Whoa there, babe. Maybe you should get some sleep first. Why were you up this late? Frisk shook herself a little and headed for the equipment room. Asriel wanted to check all the wires and chips in my head. I followed her down the hall. So why did you let him do that to you? You know I didn't have a choice. I was unconscious and dying at the time. She opened the door to the armory and grabbed her equipment bag from a nearby shelf. I meant, why do you let him take all night? Or is giving you a checkup code for snoo-snoo? She dropped her jacket on a bench and changed into an armor-reinforced uniform. I am not letting you watch Futurama anymore. I leaned against the door, giving her my best lecherous smile. So, no Netflix and chill this weekend? She picked up her jacket and put it back on. I'm going to pound you into the floor now. Bow chicka bow wow. I jumped out of her reach just fast enough to trip over the skull of a GB. It looked up at me mournfully, worried I was angry. I rubbed its bony snout reassuringly. It looked up at Frisk, who patted it on the nose before she pulled her collar up to cover her neck. Off the floor, Bones. I want to be done so I can get back to writing my tell-all book. I stood and dusted off my jeans. Does it have pictures of me in compromising positions? No. I opened my mouth to deliver a zinger. Just your brother. I sighed. Yeah, right. I put my right arm around her waist and lifted my left hand. I turned it so instead of seeing through the hole, I was gazing into my own very personal rift in space. I started solving the equations. The darkness in that space parted. We landed in a snowy forest away from the path to Snowdon. The GB squeaked and rolled around in the snow. Frisk looked towards town. I followed her gaze. That's a lot of smoke. That's Smog. She pulled out her mask and put it on. Staying off the path, we trudged through the woods. When we got close to Snowden, I climbed a tree to have a better look at the town. I wish I hadn't. The town is caked in filth. So it's like your bedroom? Nah, I would never let my guitar collection get dirty. I looked around. I don't see anyone, but there are lit windows. What about your place? I flinched a little. I really didn't like it when anyone referred to a different sense as things as my own. But it was never a discussion I really wanted to have either. I squinted. Dark. Let's check it out. We skulked into town behind the line of houses. I pulled out my keys and tried the lock on this Wells version of my old laboratory. The lock didn't even turn. I pulled out my lockpicks and went to work while Frisk and the GB kept a lookout. The door popped open after a couple of seconds. I flipped on the light and looked around. The lab was cleaned out. The time machine, the blueprints, everything was gone. Frisk's head popped into the door. The house is empty, and nothing is out of place. It looks like it's been empty for a while. I stepped outside and pulled the door shut. The lab's cleared out. Even behind the mask I could see her frown. I don't know why there's so much smog. There aren't any factories that I can see. Let's move on to Waterfall and check out Undyne's place. An hour later, we stood in front of the wreckage that was Undyne's house. I've seen her place burned down, flooded, used for target practice, and even shaken apart by a super loud music session. But this, I couldn't make a heads or tails of what I was looking at. Frisk started digging through the wreckage and I stood back, waiting. The last time I tried to help when she was investigating had not gone well. Bones, can you move this wall over here? She pointed to a large section that had fallen onto the open living space. My eye flared to life and I gently set the wall aside, revealing the mess that had been Undyne's living room and kitchen. Frisk jumped over a pile of debris and started digging around the floor. Big fight? 3 people? By the footprints it was Sans and Undyne going at it. She gently lifted a sneaker. This Frisk is either a very tall child or a preteen. It looks like Undyne was protecting her. She pointed to a wall I moved. Those are GB blast marks, but they aren't whole, meaning Undyne really took it in the face. Something caught her eye and she threaded her way back towards Undyne's bedroom. She picked up a long red scarf and shook the dust off before pulling down a mask and putting it up to her nose. Did this Frisk kill Paps? No, it doesn't smell like you. It smells like Teen Girl. Are you implying that I smell bad? She raised an eyebrow. You don't, but some senses have an odor do lazy in massive amounts. She tossed the scarf to me. Stow that someplace safe. We need to get to the lab and watch Alphys's tapes. Hotlands is quite a ways away. You want a portal? It might tip off this world's Sans. It will definitely tip off this world's Flowey. Based on what you see here, could you take Sans in a fight? Frisk's smile grew wide and she giggled as she pulled her mask back in place. I rolled my eyes. Well, portal. I don't know why, but I'm not really all that worried about Flowey. Frisk hopped over the debris and hooked a finger in the GB's snout and took my hand. The world went black in a swirl, and when color came back, we were standing outside the back entrance of the lab. Frisk put her ear to the door before opening it. The lights were out, but the machinery was running. There was movement under the desk. Alphys? Frisk called. Don't hurt me, came the pained response. I flicked on the lights and Alphys screamed. Frisk knelt down next to the desk. It's okay. We aren't here to hurt you, Alphys. We came to help. The lizard woman turned her head slowly and looked at Frisk. Alphys reached up and pulled down the breathing mask covering Frisk's nose and mouth. Frisk? My Frisk nodded with a warm smile. How? I'm not your Frisk. We're from a different universe. We? Alphys craned her neck to look up at me. I smiled and gave her a half-hearted salute. She blinked a few times, very rapidly.
Your Sans.
I cocked my head towards Frisk. Her Sans. Most people just call me Bones.
Alphys? Frisk asked. Can you tell us what's going on?
She looked back and forth between the two of us very quickly before putting her head in her hands.
I don't know what's happening.
She suddenly grabbed hold of Frisk's arm and a thrum went up my spine.
I was at the beach resort with Undyne. She and Frisk had fallen asleep on the couch while we were watching a movie. And next thing I know, I'm back at the lab watching a video feed of Frisk in the forest outside of Snowden.
You were on the surface? I asked.
Alphys nodded. Hey, we watched the tapes from your video feed.
She shook her head and started weeping.
You don't want to watch those?
Frisk petted Alphys' scaly head and cooed to calm her down. My impatience rose quickly. I resisted the urge to tap my foot. Frisk pulled the lizard woman out from under the desk and took her over to the dark monitor.
Show us the tapes.
She nodded and shakily turned on the monitor. After a few button pushes, the video started and Alphys hurried away from the screen, sitting on the floor with her back to it, covering her ears. The video cut in just as a preteen Frisk burst through the door of the ruins. She was covered in a fine dust and running in sheer terror while looking backwards at something. She tripped over a fallen tree branch and lay there in the snow, weeping profusely. When she finally stood, it seemed mechanical in nature, like she was fighting her own body. She stumbled to the nearest tree and started banging her head against it repeatedly and violently. The video cut out and picked up with the girl sitting on her heels in front of Papyrus. He assured her that everything was alright and whatever was happening could be fixed, and then his skull fell into her lap. She screamed and I looked away, so I wouldn't watch Paps turn to dust. When I looked back, I saw a Sans who looked exactly like Blue, but was filled with so much rage that his eye had activated on its own. The girl grabbed Papyrus's scarf and ran. "Oh, kid, that never works," I whispered. Frisk glanced back at me for a second before a scream glued her back to the screen. The video cut in several places, following the girl as she did everything in her power to evade Sans as he teleported ahead and around her. When her terror peaked, she ran into Undyne, who grabbed her and they both disappeared into the river. The video picked back up with, as Frisk had predicted, Undyne protecting the girl in the rubble of the house before a flying bone hit its mark. Undyne fell to her knees, smiling at the girl as her body faded to dust. Sans grabbed the girl by the arm and ripped Papyrus's scarf from her neck and poured it away. The video feed died as the side wall of the house crashed down, scattering Undyne's dust across the area, leaving the wreckage we found earlier. Frisk looked at me.
Where would you have gone?
I rubbed the back of my head, staring at the ceiling. I would have taken the equipment from my lab and gone to the core to try hooking Frisk into the time machine to see if I could get it to work off the power of her determination. I folded my arms over my chest. It won't work, though.